Today, I'm going to be discussing the meaning of life while playing 2048, but I think it's actually a very apt backdrop because unlike life, the goal of 2048 is very clear. You're trying to get 2048 or an even higher score, and there's a certain way to go about it. Like, you know that you're supposed to only move in three directions, and that ideally you want to have the highest square in a corner because like I guess those things are like better for the algorithm. Someone tested that out. Like you know exactly what you're trying to do, and a lot of it is just executing on it and like some element of luck, right? Whereas with life, like it's a little bit different because a lot of people, I mean, maybe I'm being presumptuous, but at least myself, like I have not really figured out like what I'm trying to optimize for, you know? Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you should be trying to make as much money as possible because that will give you the flexibility to buy all the stuff that you want, to live in the nicest places, go on the nicest vacations, and those things are going to give you happiness." Whereas other people are like, no, you should focus on doing something that you enjoy. Like, who cares that you're making six figures in a job that like you hate, like you wake up dreading? Now, there's plenty of teachers not making that much money, but they feel super fulfilled with their lives, you know? And there's plenty of bankers or engineers who are making a bunch of money, but they like hate waking up in the morning and they're counting down the hours to the weekend. And besides for like the whole career thing, there's also like the whole like a lot of like I've been reading some studies that say like a lot of old people, like when they're on their deathbed, the thing that they value the most is not the stuff that they have or or even necessarily like the things that they did. Like they don't really value that trip to Cancun in and of itself. You know, what they really value is like the amount and the strength of the relationships that they have in their life. You know, like whether it be with a spouse, with friends, with family, like they're very like that's what they really like cherish in their last moments, you know. Now obviously I haven't read too much in this study because I don't really know that much about the methodology or what have you, but just thought that was very interesting. Like guess like yeah, as a young person, I think it's easy to go through the school thing and to know exactly like what you're trying to do. Like, you're trying to make you're trying to go to the best school possible or study these certain things either because you enjoy them or you think that you're going to make a lot of money slash have a good career by studying those things, so you do that. Just very interesting. I feel like the later we go, the more ways like we really have to think about like what we're trying to maximize. And like, you know, it's kind of hard to be trying to maximize multiple things at once, you know. If you're trying to maximize your career, it's quite hard to maximize keeping good friendships and relationships because you're spending so much time working to advance your career, blah 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 blah. So I just thought that was like a really it's an interesting thing that's been on my mind. And I feel like a lot of people my age, and I bet throughout, like, have been experiencing that. You know, also, I'm only going to be talking until I get 2048 or I lose this game. So depending on how interesting you think this is, you can either root for me to win or lose. But yeah, I guess that's just been some stuff on my mind, ruminating during this pandemic. I feel like I'm at the point where I'm going to lose. Let me be a little bit strategic with this. Also, like with 2048 too, like just like with life, like a lot of it is luck. Like if you get the right things, the right whatever squares to come in the right moments, then it can really turn around your fortunes, you know? All right, I gotta think. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, see, you know, it seems like you're down and out, you know. I had like one square left, but then make this miraculous comeback. And like, ha ha ha, like, oh, it's skill, blah, blah, blah. But I bet a lot of that was luck. I don't really understand what I'm doing. Kind of just moving stuff around. And, you know, if it goes well, then it's like, oh, I'm a really smart, like, great player. And if it goes poorly, it's like, oh, I got very unlucky, blah, blah, blah. But I also think like that's kind of like a freeing feeling, Like you don't need to beat yourself up too much because like a lot of life is luck, And a lot of successful people don't like to admit that. But you're lucky to be born with the type of family that you have, the country that you're in. Like there's so many things that you're like super lucky about. Like I think a lot of people like don't really like to acknowledge that like the places that they've got in life is not necessarily because they worked hard or were like smarter than the pack, Like I feel like I'm quite a lucky guy to be born in this country, have the family that I do, go to the schools that I did, blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, I don't know. This might not be the most interesting. This is probably the most cliche type topic one could talk about. But whatever. I say what I want. I do what I want. That's also, I think, a good thing to think about too. Like, you oftentimes like we seek to maximize what we think what like we do things because we think that's the thing that we should do. We go down this path because that's what everyone says you need to be happy. So you just do it without really thinking about it? Like I guess with 2048 it's not as meta. I think I just lost. Oh no. I think I lost now. Yeah, all right. Well, game is over. I don't know what the real takeaway from this was, but yeah, I guess don't sweat the small stuff. Unlike this game, you can never really lose. And it's really up to you about like what your high score is. So yeah, that's what I'll say. Also, yeah, play the game. Tell me if you get a high score. Tell me if you get the 2048. And yeah, peace.